Concussion.
The concussion crisis
Suffer a
today.
concussion.
The movie Concussion opens in
CTE.
diagnosed CTE and living.
My name is Will Schmutz, and I will be your host today. Football represents America's pastime and is by far the nation's most popular sport today. However, the growing problem of concussions is causing players to retire early in the National Football League to be under constant fire. Even though football is facing these problems, it still continues to grow in popularity at all levels. Today, I will be going in-depth on the concussion crisis and why football continues to gain popularity even though the dangers of the game are growing. Many news outlets have gone in-depth on the concussion crisis, so I didn't want to investigate this issue. Instead, I wanted to look at something that hasn't been researched heavily. I wanted to dive in the culture of football by interviewing former players and understanding what the average players and fans' view on concussions are. I wanted to learn about the mentality of football, and the results I found are shocking. First, I want to give you some background on the concussion crisis. It all started in 2002 when legendary football player Mike Webster died at the age of 55 because of a brain condition known as CTE. An article was released shortly after saying that football players were at an increased risk of getting CTE because of the constant helmet-to-helmet contact they make on every play. The NFL tried to hide information about concussions from the public, and shortly after these articles were published, the NFL fired back with evidence of its own trying to prove concussions weren't an issue in football. However, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists, the papers that the NFL posted were rejected by peer reviewers, editors, and even some of the authors. Ever since Webster's death, the NFL is trying to combat the concussion crisis, and much news has been posted about it. Popularity in football still hasn't decreased, however, and I want to get to the bottom of it. I would like to welcome on my first guest, James Crute, who is currently a freshman at the University of Michigan. The first thing I want to ask you is, what's your relationship with football?
Football is my favorite sport. I started playing in second grade, tackle football in second grade, and played every year until senior year, or after senior year of high school. And, yeah, my favorite sport.
Did you sustain any concussions when playing?
I got officially diagnosed with one in 7th grade one time, and then I'm sure I had a few along the way in high school.
And, like, you kept playing after you got them, just fought through it. Do you think there's a culture in football where players view concussions as, like, everyday injuries and are expected to play through them?
I think that concussions are really dangerous and serious, but I think that football players, like, feel like they're letting their team down, I guess, if they're sitting out because of a concussion. So, like, I'm not saying they're not serious, but, like, people fight through them, I think, because they want to, like, do it for their team or whatever.
Right. What's your opinion on the current football concussion crisis?
I think they're doing a lot better job of, like, changing the rules to lessen the head-to-head collisions, and, like, they're getting new technology to make it more safe. So I think it's going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. And my last question is, why do you think football hasn't lost any popularity from the concussion crisis, even though there's been proof that concussions cause long-term health damage?
I think that because football is, like, such a big and important sport, that people will still, like, follow it and stay with it and play. And if you, like, asked all the people who've been affected by concussions, they'd probably say, like, maybe they wouldn't have changed their past even though it's affected them in the future, because, like, football does a lot for people and, like, building character and stuff.
Do you think, like, fans, like, care very much about the concussion crisis? And you think there'll be more, like, awareness around it, like, as time goes on?
I think fans don't care that much, as opposed to, like, maybe players and families of players who are, like, people who are actually being affected by it. Because, like, fans probably just want to see the big hits and all that, but, like, there can still be plenty of that, even with the change rules.
What are ways, like, that would cause fans to maybe, like, protest?
To be more against concussions?
Yeah.
just stuff I think like the movie, like the Will Smith movie, that really tells the truth about it and the science behind it.
Okay. Thank you.